Hello, welcome back. Or if you are new, my name is Delian. This is the channel where we explore what it takes to become the main character of our own stories through things like astrology and the Enneagram, along with more things to come. But today, I realized I needed to do a video talking about the four main triads that consist in the Enneagram because it's not actually conducive to do that for every video that I create about the Enneagram, especially for these character deep dive series that I am starting. So today I figured we'd just go through those four different triads. If you're new to the Enneagram, this is a decent place to start. And also I have videos where I go through each of the 9 types because I won't be doing each of the types here, but you'll get a flavor either way, and it's a good foundational video nonetheless. So the Enneagram is I don't think it's a personality system. I think it's a system that showcases the 9 motives we adopt at a young age to adapt to our environment. There's a lot of conversation whether or not that's nature versus nurture, but we don't know, as it is with many, many things. And today I'm going to talk about the 4 different triads. The first one being the one most people know if you're familiar with the Enneagram at all, which is the intelligence centers. So there's 3 intelligence centers. There's the heart center or the bonding center. These are the relational types. And it doesn't mean that all of the types don't have these things. It's that this is the intelligence they use primarily to move through the world. And the bonding triad or the heart triad utilizes their connections in order to essentially adapt through life, for better and worse. Then you have the head triad or the mind triad, and these are the types that move through the world by gathering in data and information, analyzing, strategizing. Then you have the body triad or the gut triad. And these are the types that move through the world very instinctually. They have like an intuitive way that it's like they take in the information of their environment, and it's very intuitive and instinctual. They're very aware of their own physical body and the space around them. And for the heart triad or the bonding triad, the core emotion, and this is not agreed upon in all of the Enneagram sphere, but this is where I currently stand, is that the core emotion for the heart triad, bonding triad, is sadness. And it's specifically relational sadness. Like, they are very aware when there's disconnection in relationships. And I think that sadness gives them that ability to create connection and bonding with people really well. But if that sadness doesn't lead to connection or isn't appreciated, I think this leads to shame. So the heart triad, I think, primarily deals with sadness or shame, but also deep connection, I think would be that like the high side of what they get to experience. The head center, and I should say, the heart center has 2s, 3s, and 4s. The head center, which is 5, 6s, and 7s, their core emotion is fear. Again, really helpful to have fear. Fear keeps us secure. However, if that fear does not actually bring you security, then I think what happens for these types is that they can move from that position of fear into a chronic fear, which I would call anxiety. And this is where they can experience a mental spinning out because it's not productive. That would be my approach to it. And then for the body triad, which is 8s, 9s, and 1s, these are the types who experiences their core emotion anger. And that anger is usually showing up because there's some kind of injustice that has happened that is creating disharmony. I think that these types are very motivated by wanting harmony. The head types want security. The heart types want connection. I think the body triad wants harmony. And therefore, when harmony doesn't exist, which feels like an injustice, anger occurs. But that anger, utilized correctly, fixes the problem so that harmony can happen again. And if it doesn't lead to that, and you are in chronic anger, I think this is when we see rage, which doesn't lead to productivity. So those are the intelligence centers. Next, we have the strategy centers. So this is what the different types do to get what they want. So you have the independent stance, which is, it's sometimes called assertive or aggressive. I don't think that that's actually very accurate. I'm around a lot of these types, which are 3, 7s, and 8s. And most of the time, they do not actually seem assertive or aggressive. They are, however, very independent. And essentially, when they want something, they're going to go after it. And if they want to engage, they engage. And if they don't want to engage, they don't engage. They are, again, they have like an independent drive. There's pros and cons to that. Then we have the withdrawn stance, which is 4, 5s, and 9s. And to get what they want, these types take a step back. They literally withdraw. And eventually I'll go through how each of the types do this, but this is just a little like quick video. Eventually I'll probably do a deep dive video for each of these things. So you have the withdrawn stance. To get what I want, I withdraw. And then you have the responsive triad, or the responsive stance, which is 1, 2s, and 6s. And the way that they get what they want is by responding to the energy in front of them and around them. Again, pros and cons to each of these things. All right, then we have the coping style triads. So this is like that first ping of stress happens. This is the way that these types are going to react to that stress. So you have the positive outlook stance. And this is like the first moment of stress pops up and their immediate reaction, and these are 7s, 2s, 7s, and 9s, is going to be to put a positive spin on it, to see the brighter side of things. If you haven't already, I just did a deep dive on Rapunzel, who I think is in this triad of positive outlook, creating a positive reframe of circumstances so it doesn't feel so heavy, right? Which, again, positive and maybe some drawbacks to that particular stance. Then you have the competency stance, coping style, which are 1, 3s, and 5s. And this is like, they go into problem solving mode first. It's like they can sort of detach from their emotions and they go into, okay, what needs to get done? And that's how the first sign of stress, that's the kind of way that they're going to deal with it. And then you have the reactive types. These are 4, 6s, and 8s. This is why I believe that 4, 6s, and 8s are the most intense of all of the numbers. But essentially, the first moment of stress happens, and what they want is to have, first of all, they get very passionate about it. They feel a lot about it. And then also they want to know that you care, which to them is going to be signaled by you engaging in the problem at hand. And usually there's a lot of conversation around this, around whether or not these types need the other person to have an emotional response. I do think that there needs to be some level of an emotional response in order for it to ping for these types that you care about the problem. But again, some conversation still happening in the Enneagram spheres about this. Okay, the last one I'm going to talk about is how the connection triad. So how do we connect with other people? So we have the attach or adapt triad, which is 3, 6s, and 9s. I like adapting for these ones. Again, more conversations to be had about this, and I'll be talking about it in the future as well. But essentially, they're going to create a space for everyone to thrive. What kind of space that is, how people can thrive is different based on each of the types. Again, I'll do a deep dive at some point, but what they're doing, how they want to connect with you, is they're going to create a space where you can thrive in a particular way. Okay, then we have the idealism triad, 1, 4s, and 7s. This is, I'm going to connect with you about our dreams, the ideal that could be, right? The fantasies, the possibilities. And then you have the gift givers, which are 2, 5s, and 8s. They're going to offer a gift in order to connect. Again, the gifts are very different. For 2s, it's like I'm going to show that I care about you by, usually it's taking care of something practical. For 5s, it's going to be knowledge. I'm going to give you knowledge. I'm going to give you data. For 8s, I'm going to give you my strength. And I'm also going to tell you how I see your potential. It's how they want to connect with you. So those are the 4 main triads that consist in the Enneagram. And I think that this is helpful to have as a foundation. Again, I'm doing this video too so that I don't have to bring it up in every character deep dive that I do for the Enneagram types. But let me know what your thoughts. Do you see yourself in any of these? I think this is a really helpful way to be able to find your number as well. If you want to have if you would like to book a conversation with me where we discuss what type you might be, this is how I approach it. Is like I start listening for the things that I can start essentially pinpointing to these different areas. It's a pattern type of processing, which I really love doing and I happen to be pretty good at. So, all right, let me know your thoughts. Again, this is going to be a video I don't know how many comments are going to happen on this video, but anyway, it need to be made so that I didn't put it in every single video that I did about an Enneagram character breakdown. Thank you for watching. If you find this valuable, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in another video. Okay, bye.